Welcome to Behind the Scenes of Escaping Twin Flames with Morgan.
Hello.
And
Hi,
then
Jesse.
if you want to introduce yourself, Morgan.
I am Morgan Poferi. I was the supervising producer on Escaping Twin Flames and had the honor of getting to work closely with Jesse on this show.
Well, thank you. And since this is, I guess, first time, I think I'm just going to go straight into the questions.
Okay.
Well, you kind of already said a little bit of that, but what was your role on Escaping Twin Flames on Netflix?
So I was the supervising producer. With any film or television project, titles can mean an array of different things, and same thing with the role that I took on for this show. So I can say that as a supervising producer, what it meant for this particular series, I worked very closely with the showrunners, Cecilia Peck and Inbal Lesner, in the early stages of shaping the show. I helped with pre-production. I was working with Cecilia in the field, as it were, like when we filmed all the interviews, and was on-set support. And then in post, I was support for the editing team, mostly when it came to kind of supervising a group of APs that were doing archival pulls. So whether it be materials that were from Twin Flames universe or from each of our contributors, I kind of oversaw that and then helped it through the legal process. That was long-winded.
I liked that. That was a good answer. That was really good. So you kind of went over that. Oh, wait. Actually, as a supervising producer, did you research Twin Flames Universe beforehand?
Yes. So I did research before the show was greenlit. I had worked with Cecilia and Inbal previously on a Star series called Seduced, in which we followed ex-members of an organization called Nexium. After that series, two of our incredible contributors worked very hard to set up a website for other people who were getting out of high control groups. So we were made aware of Twin Flames universe from outreach to that website. So Cecilia very early on knew that this was a story she was going to want to pursue. So I listened to the podcast as soon as it came out. And that was really beyond the initial outreach. Listening to that kind of helped inform what was going on, what was being perpetrated by Jeff and Shalia through that group.
Was it the Wondery podcast
It was the Wondery
or?
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Wondery
Just
podcast.
checking. And then how did you feel about the information you found about Twin Flames universe and how many years of research was involved?
See, I can start with the latter part first. I'm trying to put a timeline on this because I think there were different iterations of this of Escaping Twin Flames prior to us being greenlit by Netflix. So early on, and Cecilia and Belle could speak better to this, but early on there was essentially a pitch put together of exploring, having a series of explored multiple high control groups, Twin Flames Universe being one of them. So I helped a little bit on that pitch. And that was in January of 2021, I want to say. I think that's right. I was spending more time kind of understanding what this organization was up to. The information I found out. So I'm gonna divulge something that I think they know, well, but maybe we can decide together on whether or not we really want to publish this. So of course, early on through the outreach to the website, it was clear that there was a very coercive environment. I think the thing that like really shocked me the most and the thing that made me want to participate and was so honored when I was asked to join the team was just the notion that this organization doesn't really have a physical place. This is all being conducted online. People are being indoctrinated and not held captive. That's not, I guess, more of a metaphorical sense, but like, I guess also kind of in the literal sense, they're
Yeah.
being controlled in their own homes. They're next to loved ones. Like this is all through a laptop. Or through their phones. And that was the thing that was the most jarring and scary thing that really like jumped out at me. The thing that I will kind of circle back on whether or not we want to share this is in October of 2021, when it became really apparent that Cecilia and Val were going to be pursuing the series and trying to get a network attached to it, we found out that we were keeping like tabs on what was going on with the organization, and we found out that they were going to be going to Sedona for a weekend retreat thing. And Cecilia called me up like a few days beforehand and was like, "Do you want to go to Sedona with me?" So I say all this to kind of circle back to the thing that like spoke to me most was going to this weekend, getting in actually into one of their conferences. I don't know what the correct terminology would be, but one of the
Mhm.
events that with Jeff and Shalia speaking to their followers and being in the room and seeing firsthand what Jeff can has done to people. Like it's not the best way of putting it. Just seeing the level of admiration that his followers had for him and the manipulation that was unfolding in real time in front of me. Him telling them, out there you are nothing, but in here you are something. Out there they do not love you, but in here they love you. And I could feel it. It was very palpable where I could see myself. There's been situations where I've maybe felt a little like I've been searching, and to have this, a group of really like-minded, brilliant, fun, like beautiful people all together for one purpose, and having this one person saying like, "I see you," like that's so powerful. So that was like probably the thing that I was like, okay, we've got something really special here, and we need to push. We need to get the story out there just in case that opens up. I don't care if Jeff like comes after me. I don't really give a shit. He's not
I have a
gonna get
small
anything.
channel, just so you know, and he doesn't
Right.
care about me. I've been out for a long time.
Right. I would just want to make sure that I don't name drop Cecilia as being the person who was putting together
Yeah,
this like infiltration into their group, their organization, when we had really no business being there. But anyway,
understandable. But you keep me updated
will
because
do.
I
Yeah,
know
I'll ask her about that
Keely's
afterwards.
video I'm gonna try to get out first, and her and I have our interview on Monday after my work.
Oh,
You know
fun.
that it's gonna be you. You'll come probably after Aaron's interview, or I guess Aaron and I didn't really have an interview, but Aaron and I did a book thing, hangout. It was more like because we kind of went off on our rants to the point that I like it. That well, I like when we go on random rants, even if it's style of interview and or talking.
Great. It's conversation. I like
Yeah,
that.
but I also want whatever you want in it to stay in it and whatever you don't out. I wasn't gonna do the little bomb. I let them do it.
Right.
But let's see. All right. What was the I'm really bad at doing this. What was the hiring process of
Great.
finding crew to help on set?
This is another great one for Cecilia and in Val. I did get pulled in on a couple of the hires. The first person that comes to mind is Nadine. I can tell just as a person who's been hired by Cecilia and Val,
There you
and
go.
with Cecilia in particular, which is the thing that I love most working on her and in Val sets is, skill sets are, of course, that's a necessity to get a project from beginning to end. But when it comes to telling these types of stories and working with individuals who, it's frightening to tell your story and maybe tell some truths that your friends and family might not know, or maybe you didn't even realize yourself until you're sitting in the chair. So for them in particular, like the thing that they look for is somebody who can be a human in that type of environment. And sensitivity gets thrown around a lot, but I think it's so much more than that. It's empathizing and seeing the project is secondary. Let's be here for one another as human beings, and that's what they look for. The rest of the hiring process, I wasn't really involved with any of the post people, but I can just say, knowing Cecilia and Bao are the ones, the last, they're the final say. So I know for sure that that's how thoroughly they vet each person that comes onto one of their projects.
Okay, that's good to know. Not sure which question to go to next. Were you part of the budgeting?
Not a part of the budgeting.
Okay, that's good to know.
No, if I
No.
was, things would have been different.
What about finding locations?
Finding locations for this series was actually pretty simple. I will say that Nadine definitely took the lead when it came to working closely with Cecilia when we needed to have a location that wasn't the subject's home. We did, of course, want to shoot as much as we possibly could in people's homes, just have their natural environment around them. Logistically and budgetarily, sometimes you just have to like bring everybody to one location, as you know, Jesse, and film in a place that we're not pretending, but we're trying to evoke a home-like environment.
And bring products that are yours, like my computer, at least was brought
Right,
for set.
exactly. To make, yeah, to have, yeah, to try to bring that hominess out of and make you feel comfortable because you're already in a stressed position of having two cameras or one camera pointed at you and people you don't know standing behind those cameras all watching you try to be natural. So,
And hiding behind the white curtain. I remember that well.
hiding behind the white curtain. Oh, yeah,
You
yeah,
were
yeah, yeah.
behind there.
Yeah, that's right. That's where I was peeking around.
And Inbal was behind there too for a little bit. And then Cecilia in her chair. And I don't know the camera guy's name because I never got his name.
Oh, so Matt Chavez was our DP through the and he was there for I think just about every shoot with the exception of like one because he had COVID. Um,
Jeez.
and then Brett was his faithful first AC. So the guy who was holding like the follow focus.
Okay. And going outside the windows too. Hanging stuff.
Block out the light and stuff like that.
Okay. Just making sure. I have photographic memory, so I can go back there very easily, including to how
I
cool
was
it
gonna
was.
say I am in awe.
Because I know that Inbal, I know Nadine went back there a couple of times, but she was also running back and forth.
Mhm.
I could hear her footsteps going back and forth, back and forth. And then I know we had two people on monitors too.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
never got their names. I just got glimpses of both of them.
Yeah, it would have for sure been at least Brett and I should know my local crew better. I can't recall for that day.
It was a girl and a guy, but you got the guy's name at least.
Yeah. Ooh, sorry to the
It's okay.
female crew member whose name I should have at the top of my mind.
It's okay. Sets have lots of names too. The many, many names. Oh, well, did you have a favorite location that you went to for set?
Favorite, that's right. I saw this and I was like trying to rack my brain and I was like, I'll think of it later. Favorite
It's okay if you can't think
location.
of anything either, too.
Yeah, I don't know. I loved every spot we were in because, it was I got to be with you guys. So I don't think I have a particular favorite location.
And we got to be with you too, which is fun. I liked seeing the set pictures with you in them, so I could see all the different sets you were on too.
Mhm.
Because
I think it was I think I should have been at every single one on this shoot.
you
Just very,
were, or you were hiding in some of them, but
oh
you were
yeah,
there.
yeah. Crouching in the corner.
Yeah, but you took good pictures too.
Thank you. Important.
What?
Remember the journey.
Yes, I know it by heart very well because of my
your
photographic
your
memory,
special
which could be a
skills.
good
I'm
thing
gonna
or
have to
bad.
remember that, Jesse. That's incredible. I am so the opposite. Like I could tell you like a rough sketch of what I did, but like what I wore, what I ate, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't know what that's all about. I have a friend who if you bring up like an event or a shared memory, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, that was in spring of 2002." And I'm like, you could have told me it was a year ago or 10 years ago, and I wouldn't be able to tell you that. So that's incredible. You have a special brain.
Thank you. Not everyone likes that brain of mine, but thank you.
No, God, that's
Because I
incredible.
can remember details,
Yeah.
including with you
And as a
and
writer,
you're
I'm
up.
sure that's so helpful
Mhm.
in your writing.
In writing, absolutely. And in at least, yeah, both of my jobs, technically, I need to have the details of
Right. Working with
who I
you.
work with.
Mhm.
And when I was in Twin Flames universe, you had to be detail oriented and remember things about people in order to do the
Right.
block list and things like that.
Right.
So
It's very helpful in your in your contribution to the series. Your recalls. Really incredible.
thank you. Appreciate that. Let's see. Oh,
Right.
this question, if you're not comfortable answering it, you don't have to. Do you personally believe Twin Flames universe is dangerous?
Oh, yes, without a doubt. I will shout that from the roofs and say that yeah, I don't care. I'll say it. I firmly believe that I go back and forth on Shalia. I will say that. I don't know. I wasn't, I wasn't there experiencing it firsthand like you guys were. I
Yeah.
just all I know is what I can see, what I've heard from you all, and then what I've seen in the videos. But for Jeff in particular, I believe wholeheartedly that he should be behind bars because he is a danger to society and should not have access to the internet in any way, any sort of materials in which he could proselytize and feed his ego because he has no regard for any other human. I mean, maybe he has regard for Shalia. Maybe, hopefully, he has regard for that child of theirs. But he has.
I
When
doubt
it
it.
comes, yeah, he just, it's him. And I don't know if that's something that can be rehabilitated. So
Not
yes,
really.
they're continuing to do damage, and my heart goes out. Ugh. And for you guys who all knew these people and interacted with them, my heart goes out for the individuals that are still in, particularly those that have been in there for years. And who's to say if they were coerced into the individuals who transitioned while being in there. I can't. It's a mind. Can I curse on
It
this?
is.
It's a mind fuck no matter what. Getting out of any high control group like that, your whole world, your mind like melts and you have to rebuild it up again. What do I believe? What are my thoughts? Any of that. But then to add on a layer of like, what body am I in? The damage he's done is irreparable, and there should be justice, and he should be stopped. So yes, they are very, very, very dangerous.
Besides
I
doing,
right.
like, I know they've done an investigation, and at least when I left in 2020,
Mhm.
but they have literal proof because of the docu-series. Yet nothing. There's also proof on YouTube videos. There's proof and debunking everywhere that you can find. And plus, there's now thousands of articles of when I first got out. It was my own article and Sarah Bourbon's articles, and the Vanity Fair were all the ones that were out. And then I
Right,
had to take down mine. But they have all this, and yet
right,
nothing.
right. Well, and like anything, just for any documentary series, when somebody who's sitting in a chair looks at camera and they say something or they make an allegation, that in order for it to be included in the series or in the show or whatever the case may be, the production and the production's lawyers have to thoroughly vet each claim, because it's not from the outside looking in. It's not that just that one individual making that allegation. It's the series or the production is making that allegation. So I can say that with 100% certainty, any of the claims made in our series was scrutinized by a lawyer. And so our team had to say, this is evidentiary. Like here's some hard, concrete proof that we have that this person's experience happened. So law enforcement,
Do your job.
get us. Yeah, do your job. And I honestly, since especially with Sutton's Bay being so small and Leelanau County, I think being probably small, I'm hoping in some way, this is probably not productive, but I'm hoping that there's maybe a little bit of shame that this has been going on in their own backyard. And now the whole world has seen what they're doing from their home in Sutton's Bay, and maybe will act out of ego, I guess, if not for like the right reasons, but to like feel like we've shamed them on a global platform.
Yeah.
My
But
personal opinion,
in my personal opinion, I can confirm that, or allegedly, that there is stuff happening within that community of knowing of their presence.
oh, okay. So like the neighbors and stuff like that kind of shame, like,
Everyone. There
or
isn't
law
anyone who's
enforcement.
not. I
Right.
have sources, but I will not
Okay.
say any more than that. Besides, I have sources that are very helpful in that field, and they definitely aren't really happy having them there and aren't really happy that nothing's happening. They all say the same thing that we've been saying for a while. They need to be behind bars. And
Right.
with my personal opinion, I feel Shilia is just as guilty as Jeff is. She just is smart with hiding it.
Right. Right.
Because,
Yeah,
yeah,
I would see that, well, like a little bit of calculating in some of those videos. And it seemed, yeah, I mean, she definitely, especially what the like the internal team videos, like not the classes, when Jeff would reprimand people, I could see that she was also very much flanking him and maybe pushing him to be like, we need money, like they need to be making us money. So yeah,
and sometimes
hopefully
she's the
that,
one who does the pushing too. At
right,
least, yeah. In my memoir, I'm treating it the same way as the docu-series was being treated. So I'm making sure I have some stuff backing because of my buyer. I don't have all the backing, but I do have stuff I didn't realize I had that I didn't send in originally for the docu-series. But
oh, interesting.
I think 3 or 4 months ago, something like that.
Maybe a
I
little.
have no concept of time though. I might be able to tell you memory-wise, but no concept of time.
of
But I
time.
did do that. So they do technically have proof on top of if they see the docu-series, they actually have the actual 2020 block list at least.
That's
Wh-
great, Jesse. Maybe, yeah, just shoot them a little nudgy. Like, I haven't heard back from you guys.
Well, that's the thing,
There's
which irks me. They just send you a little automated response, and I can't
like
handle that. It
confirming
irks me
receipt.
greatly.
Right, right.
I don't
Gotcha.
have the patience for that.
Right. Yay. Yeah. I mean, and it sucks. Like, if there's like one, I would love to do. I mean, I'm hoping we'll have a follow up to the series at some point with, breaking news, local alleged cult leader behind bars tonight, that sort of thing. But I would love to do a follow up and just focus on the injustice of the labor that has to be done by the ex members, those who are abused by somebody like Jeff, to like scream from the roof, like, this is what's happening, this is what's continuing to happen, this is what happened to me, here's what's happening to others right now, as we are talking, as opposed to shining the light and then having the help come in. You have to call, it's like this vigilant fight for something to be done. Would love to highlight that at some
I would
point.
like a season 2 since I didn't realize Seduce. No, I think it was
The
Seduce.
vow, the vow got
The
season
Vow
2.
had a season 2. I was hoping that we would do for Netflix, I guess, a season 2. I don't know what you call a docu-series for moving from one to the next.
Yeah, it could be another season. Treat it as a separate season. But
Well, I
hopefully,
know friends around me really want a season 2 of them behind bars, and then the
yeah,
aftermath of at least where we're at from there.
for sure. No, as soon as I know, I mean, I can't
No,
say
you
this on the
can't say.
record,
So don't do that.
but the minute there is any movement on, like, from the justice side, when it comes to this organization, Netflix will probably at least give us a one-off follow-up. I don't know if it would be an entire season, but we could push for one.
Well,
I
you
know that,
never know.
yeah.
BTS. I'm gonna make sure I get everyone behind the scenes. I purposely, as soon as Inbal posted, everyone who at least has an IG account, who worked on editing and everything else, I really
Oh yeah.
quick followed them and requested.
And I can tell you, I've worked closely with all of the editors, and all of them would be amazing if you wanted to bring them on.
I do want to. I
I
want
think I
to
could
interview everyone. And I'm
I
glad
could
that you
connect
said
you.
yes, but it's literally a process of waiting for everyone to say yes. And then actually, I'm going to show you this, and I'll probably let it be in the series too. But I actually have a list. So, oh, cool. It's blurred, so I can go like that. But I have a list of names. So, Erin was the first. I have Dr. Lilich. I say her name wrong. I
Lalish,
have
yeah.
everyone down here, but when someone says yes, I circle. And then when we come up with the date, then I write down the date and the time and the day. And then I put it in my Zoom and then I send it. But if there's questions, then I wait. So with you, I made sure to wait before I had already written the questions.
Oh, right. Mhm.
So if there's any specifics anyone needs, like Zoe didn't ask me to do any questions, so I don't know what she wants me to do, but we might be doing it on the fly, which will be interesting. I'm still going to write some questions for her because I don't do well without having at least something. But
She'll be amazing. Oh,
yes, she'll
truly,
be
like,
in February. She'll be my first interview for February. And then I'm actually gonna be, you'll be the first to hear about this, which I'll probably leave it on here too. But I get to be on Amanda Montell, who I love.
oh
I get
yeah,
to be on her podcast. We're doing a
amazing,
recording February 9th for that.
incredible. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for. Yeah, she's incredible. Can't remember the name of her book right now.
She has Cultish, Word
Cultish.
Slut,
Thank you.
and coming out this summer is going to be The Magical Thought of Overthinking.
Oh,
In case
awesome.
you
Yeah,
can't tell, I love Amanda Montell.
yeah, no, that's a huge thing. That's awesome.
Yeah. Her and I talked for a while before the series even happened. Her and I were just talking because I don't know why she talked to me, but she's a well-known author. I'm just here, but
You
yeah,
you will be a well-known author.
I hope
Or
so. I would
you will.
like to at least have my work, including my children's book, Super Gay, to get some recognition. It almost actually won a I can't think of it. It's a really important one that's close to like the Pulsar for children, except it's for the LGBTQIA community.
Oh, gotcha.
It
Not
was
not
up for an
Comic-Con.
award, but it didn't win it, but it was up for an award.
That's awesome. Yeah, I purchased it and I gave it to my pseudo nephew. So
Yay, Morgan. Thank
I
you.
should I need to buy more. Give it out. I I got children in my life.
Is that okay if I leave this
You,
in here too?
yeah,
If
no,
you're
no, for
saying you
sure.
bought
I hope
it.
you have to include the link to your books, right? In your on your YouTube channel. We can include my Twitter.
Okay, I'll include your Twitter. I'll just do follow Morgan here and point.
Here, interact with
Yeah,
me. Send me a message. Got questions? Happy to answer.
there
Especially
you go.
to people who are I mean, obviously, like I hope that people who seek out this specific series, that you might get a following of people who've left high control groups who are like looking for the next step or looking for some answers. That'd be cool. So if that is a person who's watching this and wanting to have some answers, I don't have the answers, but I can connect you with people who do, that can actually give informed guidance. But
Which is
yeah,
good.
so yeah, that channel is open.
That's good to let people know that too. Oh, actually, this is a good follow-up question. What resources were used to make the docu-series Magic seen on Netflix?
Oh yeah. So for this, are you what is the magic in which? Because there's a lot of magic.
Okay.
And I would say the magic that first comes to mind is really all of you who trusted this team with something so precious, which is your story. So that would be the number one resource is people like Jesse, people like Keely, people like Angie, people like Victoria, all of you guys trusting and sharing so much and being so generous with your time and with every part of your being. But circling back to the question, are you talking about like the look or what kind of resources are you, or what's the magic to which you speak?
Any resources. So it can be, I guess, like us ex-members
Yeah.
or like Dr. Lala Lynch and bringing
Dr.
in.
Lalich is a huge resource. Dr. Dare was incredible to come on. But yeah, Dr. Lalich, I can't wait for you to have her on.
I'm
She's
excited too.
amazing. Very very happy that I kind of geek out over it that I can call her my friend. She's not like just, like somebody I've encountered just in a work setting and that's it. But I do think of her as a friend, and I think she thinks of me as a friend. But somebody who is informed, somebody who's been working with survivors of cultic environments is number one. Anytime you want to, if you're going to tell a story like this, you need to have somebody on who is like a Dr. Lalich. But I think one step further for her is her story includes herself being in a high control group, so she knows firsthand the shame, the like mountain to climb of rebuilding your life, rebuilding those relationships that you were coerced into shutting off. She knows it so intimately. So when somebody who we're interviewing needs to talk, like obviously we'd want a therapist as a resource as well, which we did. ITV did make sure we had that as a stipulation of doing this series, which is really incredible. But to have like one step, to have another resource like Yanya is magical. And then I would say the last thing I would want to highlight as a resource is the producing team or the editing team.
You got
I
this.
just want to talk about all the magic. Every single thing that went into the series was magic. Every aspect of it. Cecilia is magical in the way that she approaches people and I mean, you could speak to that of just maybe being opposite of her in the chair, like the two chair setup, what she's able to provide it in like a safe space and make you feel heard. I mean, I'm putting words in your mouth. I don't know if I would hope that that's what Cecilia brings to,
Yes, she also brought boss mode. That's what I
boss mode.
counted as
Yes,
because she
she
like
does.
goes into a full. Actually, I talked to Nadine about that. She goes into a full boss mode of like with me, it helps me having someone to look at. So I would look at her, but she also gave direction of when not to look at her, which
Right,
was helpful.
right.
And just having it like a normal conversation kept it safe.
Right. And she's a really well seasoned director and filmmaker. So she, beyond the humanity and seeking out stories like this, she also understands how it will translate, obviously, in the edit and the final product. Inbound too, overseeing. We have incredible talent in our editing team, but Imbal's brain operates in a way that almost seems inhuman, and I will expand, because she just can see things in the edit and then just like think you can look at all the footage, and she somehow just the way she's able to piece things together and smooth it over and finish it really makes it magical. Just I'll just say every aspect, we had so many resources in the people who contributed, the people who were telling their stories, the people behind the scenes, what our production company was able to offer us, having people outside of the story like Dr. Lalich or Dr. Dare stepping in, all of it together just made it the magical thing that you witness on your Netflix account.
Yes, I fully agree with that. And also, just to add to the editing side of things, at least my favorite part of the edit of the docu-series was when you first hear Angie say, I had to cut my hair, change my pronouns, change my name, and then I say the same thing right after. That's one of my favorite cuts of the series, just because it melds together that there's multiple accounts. It's not just one person's account.
A one-off like this.
And we weren't even in the same room. I just want that out there too. So we had no idea the first time I was
fed a line. No, and that getting back to the legal aspect of all of this, like that is compelling. That this is not, you guys are not especially an exception to the rule when it comes to Twin Flames universe and Jeff's reign. Like this is part of his approach to controlling other human beings.
And weird thing of LGBTQ community wanting to reel them in. It's been weird even when I was part of that sector. It was just, it was weird.
People who are, I mean, that's what he's doing online, is he's trying to put out the lore where people are most vulnerable. And you can imagine, I mean, for the LGBTQ community in particular, if you're in a home life situation where you are not being accepted fully for who you are, or in a town where you don't have a lot of resources, it's so insidious to then have somebody like Jeff out there being like, oh no, we welcome you as you are, you will be loved here, you will have purpose here. And then to have him completely subvert their sense of identity by saying you don't exist, because ultimately that's what it comes down to for him.
And changing all of who you are, period. So taking away
that
thought of yourself.
Part of his remolding and programming his ideologies, which is all focused on him being Christ.
Yeah, and he's a white, cis, possibly straight, possibly not, who knows, male.
I'm sure you've read the I know in my opinion,
gotta do that part, Morgan.
And they talked about like the hot dog obsession, but that short story about the zombies, have you seen this that he wrote?
I was there for it. He used to announce it a lot when we had meetings. Like it became a part of, like, he'd bring up Divine Gaming, and then somehow it ran into his story of how he's going to be a famous author, just like his bloodline of Shakespeare, because he's apparently related to Shakespeare too.
Right.
Which that offends me greatly because I'm obsessed with Shakespeare, but
listen, if he says it's true, it's true.
Apparently.
No. It, like, just the imagery of the hot dog, it just feels like if Freud were reading it, you'd be like, guy, but I don't know, who knows, and like whatever. And if that was the case, then I would hope that he could see himself for who he really is. I don't know.
With me, I feel like, at least personally, it feels like after I started seeing more comments, even just from viewers asking questions like to other ex-members, questioning his sexuality, it made me actually question his too, of is he actually a straight cis male? So or that's where I personally stand.
Right. But yeah, it's kind of easy to also see it from the lens of, is this somebody who hates himself so much that he wants to inflict the pain he experiences, that he allows himself to experience? Who knows?
Well, narcissists do technically hate themselves.
Right.
At least.
That's why they need everyone else to love him, to reaffirm them.
And that's what he asks always, like, even since I know Inval already announced that, and Cecilia said, you guys went through 1,000 hours of the classes and everything, it's announced multiple times of you need to love me, you need to
Right.
show me
Look
you
at
love
what
me
I'm
by
doing for you.
yeah.
Sacrifices I'm making for you. I'm
Exactly.
getting nothing out of it. I get nothing. Yeah, no. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's repeated.
It is repeated. And the thing in psychology, at least, because that is my bachelor's, which I get to use a little of it in my day jobs, is with a narcissist and just in behaviors in general. When you repeat something, if you're a follower, you're going to eventually have that. Just like if you hate a song and you rehear a song constantly, you're going to eventually love that song because it's repeated.
Mm.
That's not an actual love. That's why it's interesting. When you rehear things, you grow to loving something, even if you don't like it. If
Well,
you
yeah,
don't like an idea, if it's repeated, which Jeff and Shalia do that constantly in everything they do. They repeat until it's accepted, which behavior wise, you eventually give in and accept because that's how behavior works. That's how
right.
you
Yeah,
change behavior.
it doesn't have to be an environment like that. It can be at work. It could be
Hmm.
your schooling, it could be in your church,
Yeah.
it makes complete sense. But yeah, you're right. Yes, there's so many times that he repeats the same exact rhetoric, and you can see, yeah, to the point where we'll have to have other Jesse on where because we
I
would
asked them. They're gonna eventually be on here.
wait,
We're
they're
working on a well, it's gonna be in March. That's all I know. I don't know the date. It's just March.
we they can talk about this ad nauseum, but because they and Avery were so in depth in going through each of the class, each bit of TFU footage, to find those specific bites to incorporate and support whatever is being said by you guys, the contributors. We would check in every once in a while and be like, you have to be careful because it's true. And that's from the beginning, we did state, because this is something I definitely experienced working on Seduced and sitting through hours and hours and hours of Keith Raniere footage, which sounds like what I'm about to say might sound batshit, but you do get to a point where you're like, oh, this is starting to make sense to me. And that's when that should be the red flag of like, maybe I need to step back for a second, walk around, maybe I'm going to work on another task today, because that reputation gets it starts to rewire, and your brain looks for the logic, your brain looks for anything that makes it cohesive and palatable, and you can definitely get there. And also, like, I know we showed in the series a lot of Jeff being the worst of himself, and he's definitely a terrible human being, there's no doubt about that, but a lot of the times he wasn't, which makes sense for you guys, for people who were not, for people like, you're not going to go and listen to a guy who's being abrasive 24/7. There's
No.
got to be that softer side. There's got to be that sense of like, oh, this is somebody who is speaking to my spiritual self. This is somebody who's enlightening me. This is somebody I can follow. So, when you're sitting as an AP or like somebody like Jesse, your brain just goes to a place of like, well, maybe he's right about this thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how we
I'm,
started talking about that.
I know I talked a little with other Jesse about it too when we were waiting in the car for Angie at the
Mhm.
airport. We talked in depth and I said, I'm glad you didn't get indoctrinated, but they said they got a little indoctrinated
Yeah.
because there was the repetition, and that actually can fall into Pavlov's the dog experiment.
Yeah,
Have you ever heard of that?
Pavlovian response.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
the drool of the dogs, of eventually it would just happen just with the ring of the bell without the treat.
Mhm.
So that was Jeff's same way, but Jeff's idea of the treat is him treating you nicely
Right.
and love bombing you. And then, oh,
Right.
we're going to switch that behavior on you. Oh, we're going to switch, but it
So
would
that
be
way you are
unexpected.
in a constant state of wanting to earn that trait again.
Yeah.
How far can he push you to earn that? Can I just, since we're talking about the classes and stuff like this,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's something with the computer screen or whatever, but I think it was like the life weird, it might be in all of the classes, but I feel like it was life purpose class in particular that Jesse and I noticed, that, they've got them two, it's Jeff and Shalia, and then behind them is the fireplace, and then like the brassy like fireplace screen kind of thing. And you can tell off of right next to Jeff's head, there's like a flashing light that's like that has like no discernible pattern that goes. I don't know. I'm gonna have to like have to pull up an example and send it to you because there's like a couple of times where it's happening and you can see Jeff kind of move out of the way so the flash is like seen on screen. And I like Jesse and I were both in a mindset of like putting on our tinfoil hats. Is he trying to do like some sort of neurological like subliminal like messaging through like some Morse code? I don't know.
It is possible. I first watched, the funny part is I bought Life Purpose class first before I bought Twin Flame Ascension School. I
Mhm.
only got Twin Flame Ascension School because my coach at the time said if you get that too, they technically go hand in hand together.
Right,
But I
right.
was more interested in the Life Purpose class because I felt I didn't have purpose. But I watched like almost every single one of those videos. But as you were saying it, I went back in my head and realized he did that a lot, even in Twin Flame Ascension School, at least into episode like 7 or 8. He started doing that too. You can even see Shalia eventually doing that too. Sometimes
Right.
they move at the same time or when their dog would come in.
Yeah, there's
So
like
now that you said that, that came into my mind.
there might be something to it.
There could be,
I just find
allegedly.
allegedly led, I mean, in my opinion, I think
There
there's
you
something
go.
bigger going on. Yeah, for anybody, you just said something that I find is deeply profound and was said by a lot of people. But like seeking out the life purpose class because you didn't feel like you had a purpose in this life, which is I feel for anybody for everybody at some point in their life, that's a universal feeling, which is goes back to speaking of, or touching on how insidious Jeff and Shalia are in their approach. Because, you know, as you know, ultimately the life purpose that they're teaching all leads to working for them and garnering more wealth for them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sadly.
it's just like I just think because so many people, you know, will say like, oh, I don't understand how somebody could find themselves in a situation like that. And it's like there's so many universal moments that we all encounter where, you know, Jeff's not stupid. He knows what he can exploit and he knows how he can lure people in. And finding a purpose in our lives, that's a pretty big one.
Oh
You know.
yeah, especially because I was working mainly in grocery stores at that time.
Right.
Well,
Right.
actually, I was in between jobs, so I had lost my job at that time when I joined Life Purpose class and Twin Flame Ascension School. But yeah, so I was in a similar situation to Sarah Edmondson because I've been listening. Well, I first listened to India's story, and now I'm on Sarah's story, which
Oh
it's
yeah.
interesting
Your
because
books.
theirs are completely different from each other.
Mhm.
But I relate to Sarah in the fact that she was in between jobs when she joined Nexium. And
Right.
with India, dyslexia, and me, actually, possibly autism. I'm gonna get tested for that
Mm.
soon. I do have expressive language disorder, but that was the only words back when I was in special education that they
Right.
had. They didn't have
Right.
the word autism, but a
Right.
lot of it matches up with an autistic person.
Well,
So,
that'd be
what?
great. It's, I mean, nice to have like a reassurance of any neurodivergent expression or experience. That would be right. Would that be great for you to find out if you're on the spectrum? Like just to like feel like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I would explain a lot of things. Like,
Right.
I know I'm higher functioning on the spectrum. I get that. And I've been masking for so many years that I can easily not show when I am uncomfortable or a lot of things socially, because autism has a lot of social anxiety. And I've gone over and read everything in masking, and I hit every one of them except bluntly honest. That I've always been. I've never hidden that.
Mm.
Except for when I was little, I didn't talk as much.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, being bluntly honest, wouldn't that like fall? I don't know. I might be out of the nomenclature, but is Asperger's still considered part of the spectrum, or is that something that's no longer like the right terminology? I just know that I have a friend who is definitely like growing up, we knew she was different, right? These are the words that we used when we didn't have the right words to use. And definitely was neurodivergent, but she would just like would say things so bluntly and you'd be like, Kayla, you can't say things like that. And then I think she found out later that it was like something like Asperger's, but yeah, it's nice.
Asperger's is still on the spectrum, but
It
there's
is.
still autism because there is such a spectrum, and people just think, which isn't true, because I've worked with cognitively delayed autism, I've worked with higher functioning autism, I've seen higher functioning autism. There's it's just like in sexuality. There's a spectrum. There literally is a spectrum in sexuality too. You have not necessarily, so if you're cognitively delayed doesn't make you stupid at all, which I hate that
Right.
people think that in the first place. It just means you can't necessarily vocalize or say what you want to say to someone in the way we say it.
Right.
Or the way you're trained by society to say it, which also brings those with special needs, which I use that word, which is apparently a negative word, which isn't a negative word in the special needs community, because I use it taking it back positively. But in special needs, oh great, and I lost my train of thought. Darn it. I hate when I do that. That's also a trait of ADHD/autism, what I just did. But yeah, in the special needs community, just having that label of stupid if you're cognitively delayed isn't great. And I don't like that is a label that still exists, because when I was a child, that label absolutely exists. They just, with me in special education, I was put with everyone cognitively delayed, everyone. That was normalcy for me. So learning to be social like we are right now, that was never a normal thing for me. That was a struggle.
Right.
So docu-series was a huge step for me too.
Jesse, you're so incredible. I don't know. Yeah.
Thank you, Morgan. You are too.
No, stop. No, I love hearing about, and I will say, like, who's to say the way that we're conversing right now, though it's very lovely, that's the right way, right?
Yeah.
But to see somebody, I don't know, just over, not even, I hate to say overcoming, because that's an ableist way of approaching,
correct.
but like
I'm glad you caught yourself,
Morgan. Right. No. But I love talking with you, and you are, to me, you are so self-assured and such a bright light and so engaged and just a delight. And so I don't know. I just want to highlight you as a person, that I think you're amazing and I love talking to you.
Well, can you walk me through a typical day on set of the docu-series?
Walk you through a typical day on set. So being out, like, doing interviews.
Yeah.
Let's see, get up early, usually, sometimes not too early, but then we'd work late. We usually work 12-hour days, especially when we're in the field, maybe not so much when we're back, like, working in the production office. Get up early, want to make sure that it's usually myself, and then the camera team, making sure we're getting there a little early, like before a person like yourself, a contributor, is expected to arrive, so that way we can make sure that we've got the location all set up. We want to make sure that the camera's all set up, so that way you're not having to wait around while we're futzing, although you can for sure say that we still futz while people are on set. So usually, let's see, depends on what the day is. Sometimes we just have one interview we're doing literally all day, take a break, or take several breaks, of course, but then, take a break in the middle of the day for lunch and then finish up. Or we're doing a couple of different interviews, like the day that you were there, where we used one location but try to get two different looks out of it, so it doesn't look like you're in the same room as Sarah Berman, who is our other no.
Yeah, Sarah
Oh,
Berman.
Sarah Berman was there. We didn't end up doing her interview there, if I'm remembering right. We did some what's called verite. So just like with you sitting on the couch and on your laptop, we did something similar with Sarah in what looked like her office, looking at some of the TFU videos. So typical day, 12-hour day. It's sometimes very exhausting. Sometimes we are just in one location and it's great. Sometimes we have to go to multiple locations, and that's where it gets a little harried, where we have to, set up, tear down, go to another place, set up, tear down. But all of it's worth it. And all of it was a great experience. Amazing. And I don't think we really had any, it's common, of course, for any set where things go wrong, but I don't think we ever had a day that was like, the camera broke or something crazy.
We just had noisy cars beeping and
honking
that we had to keep pausing and waiting. And then that's a very vivid memory of mine, of the honking and then Cecilia going, wait.
Just hold. Yeah. For those in Los Angeles, we were right off of, I think, Laurel Canyon. And then, when we were filming in New York with like Angie and Victoria and Shanice, New York is a very noisy city and like the worst place to do this type of film. this type of filming. But other than that was good. Also, I do want to say part of the day, of course, was making sure that one of the things that I love working with Cecilia and Inbal is one of their non-negotiable things is ensuring that we have hair and makeup for people that are coming on camera. And that's not for us to say, like, look at these stunning women, because we have stunning women that's just inherent in who they are. But it's always to make sure that people feel their best. And also, I don't know, maybe if this wasn't your experience, please correct me. I just like somebody like playing with my hair and taking time on my skin and talking to me. It's just a really relaxing way to feel like, I don't know, to like reset, to center yourself before getting into a conversation where you're talking about some really dark things. Did you
really
enjoy
liked
the hair and
Claire.
makeup?
Claire, who did
Oh,
my
Claire, yeah.
hair and makeup, I really liked her. It was just nice talking to someone since I didn't do as much as the makeup part,
Right.
except
Yeah,
for
just
the
have
reapply a lot.
a one-on-one with somebody and just chat and like feel like it kind of takes away like the stress of being in a situation where you're gonna have cameras pointing at you and crew members standing around. So just to have that get one-on-one, I love that, and we'll carry that onto any documentary series or documentary feature that I work on that doesn't include Cecilia and Bal's, making sure that that hair and makeup is available to people just as a way to decompress.
I like that. It keeps it human.
Right, absolutely.
And having, I guess, good crew members in general is
Yes.
good for
Yes.
keeping it human. Like
Yes.
Nadine was great, which I'm going to try to get her on here too, but I have to continue the waiting yes process first.
Yeah, she like became my other half of the series because we were,
I like that.
yeah, working very closely together. And it was the first show we'd ever worked on. And my first, you'd mentioned, or one of your questions was talking about hiring crew. Cecilia made sure that I signed off on Nadine because her position was going to be working so very closely with mine. And then the first 10 minutes in our phone call, I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be my new best friend.
That's great,
But she's
honestly.
a beautiful human being, hardworking, and is so talented. And outside of this, has done a lot of, I mean, she can talk about this when she's on, but she's done a lot of social justice work. So she just her pursuits in life are so elevated and wanting to try to leave this world better than what she found it.
And I know she does writing too. At least
She,
I follow her on Medium. She has a Medium account too.
mhm. She's
That platform.
she's well-rounded and a beautiful human being, and everyone should be her friend.
As they should with you too. Got to
Thank you.
include yourself in there,
Welcome.
Morgan, too.
I welcome them. I could always use more friends.
Yeah. And all right. Well, we've kind of gone over most of the questions.
Yeah, I think so. I think we did good.
I think
About
so.
an hour. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Morgan, thanks so much for sharing some of your behind the scenes. It was great talking to you and seeing you outside of, I guess, filming. And it was nice just talking between friends. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you. And everyone who's watching, if you like the content, please like and subscribe. And also leave comments. Comments help with algorithm, which is very much appreciated, especially if you made it this far. Or I've seen my other videos with Inbal and Keely. There's a lot more coming, so stay tuned. Thanks so much for being here. Embrace your truth. Tell your story. Peace.